The starting lineup is about your sons. It's about your athletes. It's about answering your questions. Okay, welcome to another edition of the starting lineup. Starting lineup and the Baseball Blue Book are a way for us to promote and interact with high school student athletes and their parents. We answer questions pertaining to the youth baseball process, the college recruiting process, but more specifically, we try to promote high school student athletes from across the country, as well as Canada, in hopes that we can put their profiles in front of potential college coaches based on their geographical, logistical preferences, academic preferences, and obviously athletic preferences. So I am joined tonight by Sean, Lissa, and Drew Bufford. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome aboard. Now, you guys are from Texas, right?
Yes, sir. We are.
All right. Whereabouts in Texas? My sons live in the greater Houston area.
We're in Frisco, Texas.
Is that south, west, north? Where is that?
It's about 4.5 hours north of Houston.
Okay. So you guys are a little up by Dallas, past Dallas, near Dallas?
Right around
30
there.
miles north of Dallas. We are now the official headquarters of the Dallas Cowboys.
Whew, okay. After last night, that's a big deal. You can. How about them Cowboys? So, Drew, are you a Cowboy fan? Before we get started on baseball.
No, we're not. We're not from Texas. So
Okay, where are you from?
well, we're all born in Florida, right?
Mostly.
All of us.
He was
pretty
born
much.
in Wellington, Florida.
Okay.
He's more Texan than any of us. But Sean and I all of us were, well, not me, but they were all born in West Palm Beach, Florida. Obviously, Sean and I grew up in West Palm Beach, Florida. Again, Drew is in Wellington, and he was born. So we have a lot of ties to Southeast Florida.
Dolphin fans. Well, I
Dolphins.
guess you could be Jaguar fans too now if you're representing Florida. So, so Drew, tell us a little bit about you. What year you are in school? Tell us a little bit about the positions that you play and where you play travel ball.
So I'm a 2024, which is a junior in high school.
Okay.
I'm a catcher, middle infielder, third base, and pitcher. I play for Pro Source Baseball, which is up in Carrollton area, and I play under Jeff Beede, which is our head coach for that team, and we're at Lone Star High School.
And as a player, give me your strongest attributes. So let's say a college coach was talking to you and he said, "Hey, Drew, tell me a little bit about you as a player. What would you say are your strengths?"
Well, I for sure think one of my top strengths is definitely my IQ on the field. I believe I pretty much know what to do with the ball, when I get it, where I'm going, and for sure my arm strength. I think it's getting up there, still climbing, and my projectability. I think I can grow every day, be a leader, and just keep going forward.
Well, I've been able to take a peek at your catching videos that I just saw recently, and you really have a really good catch and release. You have quick feet, so obviously you have some athleticism. Do you play other sports?
I did, but baseball is pretty much where I'm at now.
What other sports did you play?
I played basketball for a little bit, but that's about it.
So you are now a full-time baseball player. Do you have a strength program or anything that you follow in your off season?
Well, just this past off season, our high school did a performance course, which is, I guess, I don't know if they do it out of Texas, but in Texas, it's like a huge lifting training program. So we did that and then started my own stuff out of school so I can keep my progression going.
Now, is there an area of academic interest that you have with regard to college, or is there a major or any kind of interest in a particular future for you that might be a college decision or factor into your college decision?
I would definitely like to study physiology because I like learning about the way the body moves during sports and like how everything operates in the body. So anything around that field would be where I'm at.
Now, tell us, what part of the country would you like?
Ooh. I would like to stay around Texas, but I think the furthest I'll go is around Florida, Georgia. So the East Coast.
We have family on the East Coast, so it makes it a little easier to deal with.
What type of grades?
Oh, my unweighted GPA right now is a 3.56. So I'm mostly A's and B's.
Have you taken any ACT?
I have taken my ACT recently. I got a 24 on it. And coming up in March, we will be taking the official SAT for the school.
24 is a great initial test. Will you take that again, the ACT?
I'm planning on taking it again next year.
Good, because you can super score that as well.
That's
Now,
what we,
when you travel, do you travel back to Florida to play baseball, or is everything in Texas?
mostly in Texas. This past summer, we traveled to Kansas for a tournament.
Okay. Do you
This-
get back to Florida for any, or Georgia for any tournaments?
We haven't, but the past has been, out the younger years of Gulf Shores, Alabama kind of stuff. Destin.
But this year his travel team is looking to go to Cincinnati. They've talked about Atlanta and they've talked about Fort Myers. So it's still kind of up in the air, but we know we're going to go to some of the bigger tournaments over the summer. It's just not set in stone yet.
Have you visited any schools or colleges potentially? Have you done any camps?
This past weekend, actually, we visited ACU for a showcase camp. And we also had a Wichita State camp and FGCU, which is Florida Gulf Coastal University.
That was
about a year ago.
Okay. Do you have any specific questions with regard to your recruiting or how you can get in front of college coaches? Anything specific that you would like to ask?
One of my big questions is just how to put myself out there a little more, just to get my name out there. If that be like on social media or by mouth, just what's the best way to do that?
Well, the best way is to make sure that you have a YouTube channel that you can put some game highlights. College coaches don't want to see something scripted. They want to see game environment. So especially as a catcher, so you're handling a pitching staff. So mom or dad, you can set up a camera. Typically, you don't want to stand behind. You'd like to get it off to the side so that you can kind of get a vision of how Drew is calling the game, how his setup is, his mannerisms behind the plate, or if he's out in the infield, you can set the camera so that you're facing Drew. You let the camera run. If you set up it on a tripod, go watch the game, from the outfield. Let the camera just run because you never know when you're going to catch a magical moment. And then you can edit the video down to Drew's highlights. And then ultimately, you can do a collection of clips from various games. You as a student athlete want to take the initiative to engage with college coaches. The biggest thing is to set realistic expectations. This is a very, very crazy world. And so if we take and we have an understanding of 10,000 roster spots at the Division I level, there's 14 to 15,000 roster spots NCAA Division III. There's 12 to 13,000 roster spots Division II. You want to cast safety nets. You want to have an NAIA school. You want to have a JUCO school. You want to have an NCAA school. You want to visit college campuses as a family, especially this upcoming fall, 2023. Obviously, you'll be a senior in the fall. So during the summer, try to take a list of schools that you have a potential interest in. Now, good news, your 24 ACT is a really good starting point. Your goal via SuperScore should be to try to get that above a 26. As soon as you get above a 26, you put yourself into an academic um, financial aid world that will significantly be higher than your potential athletic scholarship. That's a fact for every student athlete. That's not just for you. So 24, kudos to you. But show that initiative from you as far as making sure you address a college coach by name, know the school, know the conference that they play in. Do you have a dream school? Do you have a school in your area that excites you, that you have started engaging with the conversation with the college coaching staff?
I think my dream school would definitely be Ole Miss, just because
Oh,
I see a
okay.
lot of stuff all the time, and they look like they do everything right, and they have fun while they play.
We have not engaged.
Not engaged with them,
But
but
you have engaged with other colleges like
I've
Wichita State.
reached out to other colleges in the around this area and a little bit up in Kansas.
Okay. Kansas is a great area for college baseball. So really what you want to do is you want to make a list. I encourage, as I've stated in other videos, sending out a personal video from you, and really talk to the college coach. Introduce yourself, tell them the name of your high school, tell them your academic background, tell them the positions that you play, and then include your highlight video, somewhere between 90 seconds to 3 minutes. And then if you really love a school, go to their camp if you can during the summer or in the fall. Um, and those are some of the probably the tricks to the trade. Good news, we'll have Mike Bianco on this week from Ole Miss. So put your gear on, get your hottie toddy ready, and make sure because I'll ask him a question. If you give me a question here tonight, I'll make sure I ask Coach Bianco on Thursday, specifically from you, from Frisco, Texas. So make sure you get that out to me, if not tonight, by Thursday. What other questions do you have that I can answer for you?
Do you guys have any questions?
Those are the big questions, because the recruiting process is pretty scary. You see it, come and go, and everybody has their own opinion and their own advice. You never really know what's the best. So we don't really want to do birdshot and, shoot it out there and come to find out we're not actually accomplishing anything.
Well, here, first of all, I want to address two things you just said, Sean. I'm actually glad that you used the word that I try to explain to parents. It's very scary. It's very crazy. It's very overwhelming. The recruiting process truly has become a game of aggressive musical chairs. And here is the reality of all of the college baseball players across the country, especially in today's world. The expectations are too high and the realities are set too low. Let me give you a case in point. To be able to play college baseball, and I will continue to say it until I can no longer breathe, is a privilege. It is hard. It is not easy. It is NAIA. It is JUCO. It is NCAA divisions 1, 2, and 3. Playing, not just participating as a student athlete that sits in the dugout. Playing time is earned through development. So if you have that mindset going in, and you're willing to pay your dues, and you're willing to learn, and you're willing to grow both mentally as well as physically, the college experience will be rewarding. If your expectations are to show up on campus, get a uni, and get between the lines, you're going to be disappointed. The number one thing is to find a program, and there are thousands of them, literally thousands, that are looking for student athletes that want to participate in their program. I have sent boys and families from the South into the East Coast. I've sent boys from the Northeast out to the Southwest and Southeast. And there's schools that you may have never heard of before, Slippery Rock and CW Post and Assumption College, and I could go with Flagler and Wagner, and there's all of these schools that are out there that parents and student athletes are not familiar with because they're not on television. They're not in that loving conferences of the Power Five, the SEC, the ACC. If you are a student athlete and you love the sport and you are open to getting the best education you can receive while participating in a sport in college, you will have 4 great years. If you're only looking at this from a baseball perspective, there's a lot of arrows heading your way. They're all going to hit you in the heart at some point, and it's going to hurt. But if you look at college as an all-encompassing experience, you're going to meet your future, wedding participants, best man. You're going to meet people that are going to be lifelong friends. The coaching staff that you're with for those 4 or 5 years are going to be people that you're going to invite to your wedding. You're going to call them when your first child is born. This is a really big decision that is, baseball is a part of it, but it's not the entirety of it. So that's what makes it scary. So if you open your mind, look, you're from Florida living in Texas. My boys were from Massachusetts and they moved to Texas. That's a tough transition. But now they're, more Texans than they are Bostonians. And I lived in Louisiana for 6 years while my boys attended college. I didn't know a soul, but now I have some of the best friends in the world from that experience of living in Louisiana. Frisco, Texas is always going to be there. It's not going to go anywhere. And, if you go to the East Coast, whether it's on the southern side of the East Coast or the northern, up into the northern areas of the East Coast, I promise you 2 things. You're going to have a great experience academically. You're going to have a great experience socially, culturally, and athletically if you enter the process with an open mind and you allow yourself to immerse yourself in that team environment at whatever university you land in. Drew, the one thing that sticks out to me when I watch your videos, you're very athletic. You move in a very athletic, very quick with your feet. I think your versatility is going to allow you to play at the college level, which is why I wanted to have you on here tonight. When you're in the Blue Book, I really want you to spend some time looking at some of the college coaching interviews because it allows you to hear these coaches talk. And is this the type of coach that, I like? Is he saying things about his program that fit me as a person first, and then as an athlete second? And so that can take a lot of the magical mystery out of this. If you approach it, let the baseball be a part of it, but it shouldn't be the engine that's driving you. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does.
Now, are you open to going to school in the, on the East Coast, Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Southeast area?
Oh yeah, I'll go anywhere if I get to play.
Okay, so now that's a dangerous term. I'll go anywhere because in the background, mom and dad are like, anywhere. Okay, because mom and dad want to watch you play.
Yeah.
So let's say you decide to go to, I'll throw a state out there, Pennsylvania, Maryland. And oh, by the way, it gets a little cold as you get past Pennsylvania up into Delaware, New York, Massachusetts, especially. What are your thoughts on cold weather baseball?
As a catcher, cold weather is not the best.
Okay, well, trust me on that. I've coached and played baseball in about 37 to 42 degree weather. Not fun, but if you love the sport, it only lasts for about 4 weeks, and then it warms up a little bit. But so a college coach is going to call you from Maryland or Pennsylvania. Are you truly open to that type of an opportunity?
I think I would be. I mean, I'm willing to fight through the cold if I get to play. If I get to do something I love, there's no excuses.
All right, mom, dad, you tell me, What are your preferences when it comes to Drew? What are your hopes as it pertains to
Well,
college experience for Drew?
well, so we went to very small schools, so we definitely want him to find a home of a school that he can really participate in. I think both of ours were more online, adult education kind of um, pathways. So we really want him to find a school that he can make those lifelong friendships, a school that he can um, build loyalty to, and vice versa. I'll kind of elaborate on the question when I get there about that. You know, yeah, we do want to watch him, but we want him to go in where he's going to have the opportunity to play, where he's going to get the best education, and you know, we'll save up, or we'll hopefully he's on Sportsnet or ESPN or something to that effect, and we'll watch. Um, but yeah, I mean, ideally, it would be, you know, like he said once, 11 hours would be a good distance. Um, we just take it as it comes.
So I want to ask you, as parents, when you go on social media, what things do you enjoy and what things do you not enjoy? As far as, are you learning anything, whether it's through our channel or our social media interactions? What would you like to see more of as parents with regard to information, specifically for Drew? But as parents, what would you like to see more of or hear more of?
Well, I think I definitely am on the social media probably more than my husband when it comes to the baseball. You've seen that. The one thing that I struggle with is, you do see the early commitments of the 26s, the 27s, even 28s. You've got JUCOs that are taking transfer portals from 4-year school. So in a way, my mind's thinking, why are kids going backwards instead of forwards with their education? So, I mean, I'm just trying to find those schools that, are willing to be the school that wants high school kids, that wants to actually give them the education, and go up to a 4-year school. That realize that a 17-year-old, 18-year-old is not going to compete with a 23 or 24-year-old. It's a lot of kind of heartache through the social media and trying to find that right fit for him, and say, okay, Drew, you got to bulk up to 200 pounds in the next year, or you're not going to be able to compete, So that's
Well,
kind
I would say to you, you're spot on, because the transfer world, and this isn't meant to be scary, it's not going away. It's been around forever, by the way. But what I always try to tell, and I'm going to tell you specifically here tonight, the biggest kind of window is your physicality, because the game is going to be older for the duration of college baseball. It's just the way the sport is heading, very similar to hockey many decades ago when they made the transition to junior hockey, which is their version of travel hockey. And, kids are showing up on college campuses as freshmen, 19 and 20 years old. Those things are happening. The whole COVID extra year of eligibility, did that play a role? Yes. But in reality, baseball is becoming a big money sport, very similar to basketball and football. And so, with that understanding, it's important for Drew to understand weight room is really a central area, primary area of focus. And that means not just putting on size and trying to throw weight around. It's trying to become more athletic while at the same time being strong enough to compete with those 19 to 22 and 23-year-old men. If we take the broad scope and we say the vast majority of high school student athletes that play college sports are going to play NCAA Division III and NAIA baseball. And I always tell parents, regardless where you go to school now, the transfer portal is going to have an effect on your level. You have student athletes that are bouncing out of Division I, in some cases Division II, and they're showing up on NAI campuses. They're not going backwards in their mind. They're making themselves draft eligible. So baseball at the college level really is no different now than basketball or football. You see all these guys entering the transfer portal. Don't get caught up in that. What I always try to tell parents is create a safety net for Drew. You need to make sure you look at it at a few NAIA schools. You want to look at a few NCAA 3 schools, and then kind of look and kind of gauge where you're at physically and athletically with regard to skill set. Are you a Division One baseball player? If you feel in your heart that's something that you have a sincere interest in, don't panic if you end up at an NAIA or a Division Three school. I'm not a big advocate of bouncing around and transferring, but that having been said, there are athletes that develop late. They get into college, they put on that freshman 15, they call it. They begin to get their man shoulders, and they know, okay, my skill sets have developed since high school, and I'm going to look at a few different schools. The key point here is to understand what are we ultimately chasing? And we're ultimately chasing that college degree. If we're in college, we're there to earn an education, and athletics is that component that kind of creates this overall experience. And so you really want to focus on realistic expectations athletically with a solid foundation of academics. So, these are the types of things, Drew. You have the ability. How tall and how much do you weigh right now?
At the moment, I'm 5'10", about 167 last I checked. Around there.
Okay, now mom said 200, but I'm going to tell you, let's say 5'10", 5'11", your position as a second baseman, infielder, catcher. I really see you as a catcher in college. It looks like you have really good receiving skills. Your catch and throw capabilities are really good. Haven't seen a lot of the bat yet, but I'll take a deeper dive into your hitting. I know mom forwarded me some videos a while back. But one of the things that you really want to begin to do is starting tomorrow, your caloric intake matters, your hydration matters, your sleep matters. All of these things matter, and you can say, well, I eat like a cow now. Okay, well, what are we eating? When are we eating? How often are we eating? That's one. Two, I can't say this any more aggressively than I say it almost every day on social media. Specifically to you, 185, 190 is a tremendous level. Now, I would encourage you to do two things, or I'd encourage mom to do two things. Yellow sticky notes, put them all around the house. Put them in your locker, put them on the refrigerator, put them on your computer, put them on your nightstand next to your bed, your bathroom light, your bathroom mirror. 190, put it everywhere. And make that a priority every single day. And it's not just when you're lifting weights. It's not just a protein shake. I can promise you, too many people think, oh, I'll just drink a bunch of protein shakes and I'll gain weight. There's actually a method. And for you, if you came out of high school at 5'11", 190, and you had an SAT score, and this is something to shoot for, of 26 or higher. I mean, heck, you're at 24. You're not that far away. You're going to be a desired baseball player. Now, it's going to be up to you and mom and dad as to, okay, well, where do we want to go to school? And what I always encourage you to do is Blue Book every week now, especially with Eric. We're interviewing college coaches from around the country, from schools you've never heard of, in parts of the country you've probably never thought you'd step foot in. These are good baseball people looking for good baseball players with a good academic foundation. And that's why you're on here tonight, Drew. And I really believe in my heart of hearts, if you're committed to playing college baseball and you just close your eyes and don't think about what level we're at, we're going to find the right school that fits you geographically, academically, culturally, and then the baseball, the athletic piece. You'll have a fun, full 4 years. It'll be rewarding for you. And when you graduate, you'll be an alum, a proud alum of a school that you can go back to, decades later when you're a dad, and you can take your children back to watch games and play in alumni games and things like that. So let me ask you a question. How committed are you to the weight room?
Oh, getting well. Like literally this past yesterday, we just stocked up on a bunch of food to get my calories going up, and I'm gonna start going to the weight room at least 3 times a week now, just to stay on the, I guess, the grind. As
Okay. So let me ask you a question. How committed are you to this process?
how committed am I to the process? Ooh,
Yep.
I think I'm going all in from
Okay.
now.
So you're going to push your chips right to the middle of the table.
Pretty
Okay.
much.
So if I connect you with a remote, like when's the last time you've ever had a movement screen? Have you ever had somebody do a 30 to 60-minute evaluation on how, can you move properly? If you're strong in your scap, the rear heads of your shoulder, can you touch your toes?
Almost.
Ah, okay. So now we're getting to the nitty gritty. Those things matter. No, don't pay money to go to showcases. Don't pay money to go to camps right now. I challenge you for the next 16 months. Get yourself evaluated. You can do this remotely. You can do this without costing mom and dad lots of money. You have to get in the weight room 4 to 5 days a week. Now, in season, your lifting looks a little different than off season, but there is. I mean, college players. Heck, we had, I believe it was Florida Atlantic and Coach Mack. They have a 4 o'clock game on Saturday. They're in the weight room Saturday morning at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if college players are lifting during the season, if professional players, major league players are lifting during the season, high school players can be lifting during the season. You're not going to get hurt, but you need to have a program written for you individually that will address your weaknesses. You need to stretch every morning. You stretch in the morning when you wake up, you stretch before you go to bed. You drink water. You drink lots of water, and you get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. If you want to be a college baseball player, it's called the 10-2s. Mom's not going to be able to do anything. Dad's not going to be able to do anything. Your high school coach. If it is to be, it is up to me. If you live by those 10-2s every day, you'll play college baseball. And the separators are the guys that are diligent with their daily routines. They don't write out a monthly routine, they write out a weekly routine. They cross it off. Every day they achieve it. And if they don't, they put a circle around it. That is the discipline that it takes to be a college baseball player. It is not easy. It is not something that some coach is going to roll out a red carpet. You show up on campus your freshman fall, you're 5'11", 190 with a 26 ACT, you're going to have a fun time. If you show up on a college campus at 5'10", 160 or 165, 67, you're going to be, it's an uphill battle. That's the bottom line. And so you have the athletic ability, you have the academic foundation. Now it's a matter of how badly do you, Drew, want it? Not how bad does mom want it for you, not how bad does dad want it for you. How bad do you want it for yourself? And if the answer is, I want to do whatever it takes, I will connect those dots for you. I will connect you with one of the best in the country. His name is Ben Fairchild. He's in Texas. He can do either Eric Cressy can do it, Mike Reinhold can do it, Nunzio can do it. There's a lot of great athletic trainers that can give you a screen, can do it online, and give you a program, but you're the one that has to take the action steps to do it every single day. Are you willing to do that?
I am.
Okay. Now, remember, there are guys that can talk, and there are guys that can walk. If you can talk and walk, you're going to get yourself onto a college campus. And just remember, the days that you don't feel like being there, you don't feel like lifting, you don't feel like eating, those are the days that you have to do it. That's when you're going to get the results. Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right. So if you had to tell a college coach in 1 minute, why are you going to make their team better? and don't talk about instincts, just talk about Drew. When Drew is added to the roster, how do you make a college team better?
I think if I got added to a roster, I could be that glue piece. I could bring everybody together, push everybody, be one of the leaders on the team, be able to make everybody go back to having fun and playing the game the right way, making everybody push each other, build each other up, be positive, and just overall be a unit or a family.
Okay, and so college coaches, how do they reach Drew in Frisco, Texas?
Well, I have an email, which is buffbaseball24@gmail.com. I have my Twitter handle, which is just @BufferDrew. I have an Instagram that I post most of my baseball stuff on @buff_hits. And my phone number, am I allowed to say that? My phone
No,
number?
you don't.
Okay.
Because I'm going to put all your contact information in the description of this video. Plus, you have a Baseball Blue Book profile. We're going to put all these clips on your profile so college coaches will have access to them. I personally will be reaching out to a few different college coaches now that I know you have a 24 ACT. I want to thank you, Sean, you, Lissa, and Drew for joining me tonight. Be careful when you say, I will go anywhere to play baseball, because when a college coach hears, I will go anywhere, you may get college coaches that'll reach out from a lot of fun and interesting places. So I'll tell you a quick story. Somebody from the Blue Book said that phrase of I'll go anywhere. They were from Louisiana, where it's very, very hot. And they ended up in Philadelphia, where it's very, very cold. And this is his freshman fall. And he said to me, Coach, I've never seen snowflakes before. But now that I've seen snowflakes, the one thing I can tell you I definitively do not like is ice. I do not like driving on ice. So I just told him, easy solution there, don't drive. So walk wherever you got to go.
Fortunately,
and you won't have to deal with it.
Fortunately for us, Texas has had some crazy weather.
I heard that. My boys said, I know last year there was a flash freeze for an extended period of time. So, but I want to say thank you to Sean, Lissa, Drew, Bufford. And I want to make sure that parents understand the starting lineup is about your sons. It's about your athletes. It's about answering your questions. Now, I interact with Drew and Lissa online via Twitter, and I will make sure that I kind of take this baton and kind of point Drew in the right direction. This is what the Blue Book is going to always be about, is access and information. And so I encourage you, submit your questions, whether it's to either Eric or myself, via the Blue Book. Post your videos on the Blue Book. Send us your messages if you have questions or concerns. Tonight's the starting lineup is Drew Bufford in Frisco, Texas. Catcher, middle infielder. I think he's going to be a catcher, but he's very versatile. He's going to add versatility to a college lineup. If I'm a betting man, I say he's going to end up at an NAIA Division II school or an NCAA Division III, Division II school with a great academic foundation. We're going to help Drew in his journey with regard to his strength and conditioning. And we want to help you next. So if you want to be part of the starting lineup on the Blue Book, let us know. Send us a message on the Blue Book. Send us a message on Twitter, BaseballLifer11. And I'll make sure that we'll get you here on Tuesday evenings. Drew, thank you very much. Sean, Lissa, thank you very, very much for joining me tonight. I look forward to helping you out, Captain. And if you ever need anything, just reach out and send a question my way.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you, guys. And join us next Tuesday for the starting lineup. Be sure and join us on Thursday evenings for our Coaches Corner, sponsored by Baseball Blue Book. This upcoming schedule is this Thursday is Mike Bianco from Ole Miss, College World Series champion last June. And we'll be able to talk all things Ole Miss for you there, Drew. We'll make sure the hotty toddy, wear your gear. Send me a question that you want me to ask Coach Bianco, and I'll ask him specifically from you this coming Thursday.
Sounds good.
All right, Captain. Remember, it's hotty toddy. You got to be able to say that with some enthusiasm.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys. Talk with you soon.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye now.